he's very proud of the person you grew up to be.
Well, I owe an awful lot of that to you.
People need love.
He kind of said that too.
You know, like that's a basic human need. And we often get into this mind trap of we need it from certain individuals.
Right.
But the fact is, like, he gets it from his brother, and it's healing.
Gosh dang it, Pixar.
Hello, and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, and I am a licensed therapist.
I'm Alan Seawright, and I am a professional filmmaker.
Yes, step into that and own it. Today we're watching Onward. We're talking about Pixar's Onward. Why are we watching this today? I mean, it's fun.
I wanted to cry.
You needed to get it
I
out.
haven't cried in a while.
And this film has a Pixar in front of its title.
It has a Pixar, therefore I will cry a lot.
Right.
No, I wanted to talk about the relationship between brothers and the relationship with fathers or replacement fathers.
Okay. I gotta tell you, Onward is a very personal film for me because, spoiler alert, but it's about two brothers and their dad is dead. And one of them knew the dad when he was little. Mm-hmm. The other was in his mom's tummy when the dad died. And so they didn't really have a relationship.
Visitation spell.
This spell brings him back. For one whole day, Dad will be back.
What? Back to life? That's not possible.
It is with this.
And what it's building to, I guess I'll plant the seed now and we can talk about it when we get there, is very personal for me because it's actually something that happened to me in real life. So let's dive in. Let's check
You
this
got
out.
attacked by a dragon made out of a high school?
I love the bell roar.
Oh, it's the best.
I love the bell roar.
It's the best.
Let's dive in.
Hey, go Griffins.
What?
You go to Willowdale College?
Oh, no. This was my dad's.
Lightfoot? Wilden Lightfoot?
Yeah.
You're kidding. I went to college with him.
Really?
Yeah. Boy.
Nice
I
little
was
Latino
so sorry to
representation.
hear that he passed away.
Yeah. Thanks.
You know, your dad was a great guy. So confident. When he came into a room, people noticed. The man wore the ugliest purple socks every single day.
What? Why?
Hey, that's exactly what we asked. But he was just bold. I always wish I had a little bit of that in me.
Yeah. I've never heard any of this about him before. What else do you remember?
Dad! Oh, sorry. Gotta get this guy off to school. Hey,
So as someone
who's
who's lost a
me?
parent, I can't tell you how
me too.
real this scene is. Because when I grew up, my mom passed away. You were there.
I was there, yeah.
You were my roommate when it happened. But I was 25 years old. And I was just barely a few years into that stage where you're old enough to like see your parents as people.
You start to appreciate them as like, oh, they tried. Right?
Yeah. Like this is instead of like a parent and that whole role. Holy crap! This was just a person.
Yeah.
And you feel it even more now when you're an actual parent, right?
Sure.
But how important it is to me to anytime I hear a story about her as a person, it just completely captured audience. And in his case, I had 25 years with my mom. He didn't have any time with his dad.
Right, none.
And so and part of this film is the search for the father is the search for himself. Like he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know how to be, how to act, what he wants out of life, like how to fit in social situations. So he's looking to his dad or stories of his dad as inspiration. And this kind of sets up, my dad was bold. Maybe I should be bold. And I can learn from somebody who's not even there.
Well, he immediately takes that as inspiration for, I'm having problems in my life. New me. Mm-hmm. Did you ever do this when you were a teenager? I did stuff like this all the time.
Did you?
I'm going to completely change myself and become a different person.
No.
I had identity issues.
I was not introspective or intelligent enough to do something like this as a kid.
I don't know that it takes intelligence.
Be like Dad.
And introspection, maybe it was navel gazing.
The thing about kids is if they don't feel like they have the approval of a parent, kids need security. They need to feel like their world is safe, their world is secure, and that is especially true of their attachment figures. I mean, and so in his case, he didn't have a dad, and his mom's dating a centaur who is kind of a goofball.
So, working hard or hardly working?
And we'll circle back around to the centaur later.
Or hardly working?
His whole quest is, I don't have a father figure to attach to be my role model for how to grow up.
Yeah.
Right, and so when he says be like dad, and here are the things that I think my dad would do based on a handful of conversations, like, and I'm going to try and mold my life around that. I mean, that's somebody who's searching for their footing and searching for their identity, and in a way, searching to please a parent.
Sure.
I'm dying, I'm dead, all my life is over.
I gotcha.
So that they can be okay with themselves. His dad's not there, but if he can live in a way that he can imagine my dad would approve of me, then I can be okay
Then
with
that'll
me.
be good enough for mom. That'll be good enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be good enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll just be nice to have more than 4 memories of him.
3. You only have 3 memories.
Oh, yeah.
Barley, do you have another memory of Dad you haven't told me?
No, it's just not my favorite.
What do you mean?
When Dad was sick, I was supposed to go in and say goodbye to him, but he was hooked up to all these tubes, and he just didn't look like himself. I got scared and I didn't go in.
I think of the name of this film, Onward, right? And they frame it early on like onward into adventure.
Journey into adventure.
Yeah, and into our quest. But it's really about moving onward from grief.
Right.
I saved this just for today. Jalaluddin Rumi, he says, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. Right? Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. And we'll see that quite literally here. Now, I disagree with the first part. Right?
Don't grieve is maybe not the best advice.
But everything you lose comes around in another form. We're going to see how powerful that is as a concept, but how essential grief is. Grief is how we know that someone meant something to us. Grief is our gift of love to that other person. Grief is, if we don't grieve, then it means it wasn't a big deal. Right. And I've said it before, and I didn't come up with this, but pain is the price that we pay to experience love. And that the only way to not experience pain is to not experience love, and that's not worth it. But we also we need to pass through grief, but we can't just get stuck in it. Right? Awesome. I dig it. Oh!
What do you got?
Fizzy.
It's fizzy?
Try that.
Okay.
That is like Mountain Dew flavored popcorn. Lisa's passion for popcorn. Mountain Mist is what that is called.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I kind of love it.
Yeah. It's kind of like
I feel like I shouldn't love it.
Yeah.
So because it's Onward, we've got magical popcorn because our popcorn is paired like a fine wine with our films.
Mm-hmm. Curated.
Yes, I have Sour Power, which is bright and sparkly.
Okay, so this is
And you've got Mountain Mist because we journey into the mountains and there's lots of green things.
Oh my!
This literally
Wow.
this is like fizzy Mountain Dew popcorn.
That is sour. If you're a sour person, that's where it's at.
It's good. I like
Well, I gotta tell you. Woo! So you have Ian, who's stuck in grief in that he never got to know his father. And that really intense sense of longing just to connect with him one time. And for Barley, the grief it's actually regret.
Yeah.
My father was dying, and I wasn't there to say goodbye. And
he has modeled his entire life on that one memory. Like that is his thing that informs every other decision that he makes.
how so?
Well, he says right there, that's
when I decided I was never going to be scared ever again.
And if there's one thing that we see over and over and over again, he's never afraid for himself.
Yeah.
He's afraid a couple of times
For his
for
brother.
Ian.
This is amazing!
Yeah, but just keep going. Don't look back. Just straight ahead.
But even then, he's only afraid for him after he pushes him to do something that he wouldn't normally do anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you know the worst that can happen, so there's nothing to be scared of, right?
Right?
He literally pushes him out over a vast expanse of nothingness.
What is
Bottomless pit. Whatever falls in there, falls forever.
But he's only afraid for him once,
Dad.
the rope comes untied.
So the name Onward is moving past it to the other side and honoring the past, honoring their dad, honoring, the mom honoring her husband, like honoring that connection and not acting like it didn't mean anything, but being okay to create something else.
Yeah.
That's not something we need to feel guilty about. And when it now here we have like a plot device where they can be reunited with their father.
No way! It's a wizard staff. Dad was a wizard.
What? Hold on. Your dad was an accountant.
But what happens if you have regrets and remorse that can't be reconciled with some sort of magical reunion?
Magical reunion, yeah.
You act like you know what you're doing, but you don't have a clue, and that's because you are a screw up. And now you've screwed up my chance to have the one thing I never had.
I look at it, actually, the point of the film is still the same. We learn and we apply to our next connections. That's the best we can do.
Right.
So here Ian has this recognition. He made this list of things he wanted to do with his dad, and his dad's only still half formed, which how much fun they have with just a pair of legs, right?
It's just legs.
It's just so unnatural, right?
Yeah.
But he realizes as the sun is setting and he's mourning because he's like, I'm not going to get to actually talk to my dad. And he has this realization.
Yeah, he's crossing off all the things he's not going to have time to do with his dad that he wanted to do.
I'm not ready. Never be ready.
Think back. I know you're stronger than that. My little brother has the magic gift. Don't hold back. Hey, you can do this.
Stupid Pixar.
They got you again, didn't they?
Well, it's coming, but it's just, we're supposed to be a show where we provide commentary about films. And we're just sitting here watching.
You guys were too. It's fine. So, what are your thoughts as you watch this?
I mean, as a father of two boys, and as, I have a brother and we have a relationship, but we were never like brothers, right? Like that,
Yeah.
that really tight brother relationship. Sharing these things with my sons is, it's fun to do, and I hope that they get to take those memories and, check off their dad bucket list, right?
Yeah. Is it healing for you to be someone who's providing that?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we started shooting, Brad was sitting here. Brad is our crew.
Where do you put the camera?
On a couch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're doing it perfectly. Okay.
That's totally Spielberg's way.
Yep, good.
When he was sitting here, we were talking about Onward, and he said something that I think is so profound, not just about screenwriting, but about life. In screenwriting, you have to ask yourself what your characters want versus what your characters need.
Right.
Right? And sometimes they're the same thing, but it's often more powerful if they're not.
It's usually more powerful if they're opposed, right?
Yeah.
They want one thing, but what they really need is kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
And they learn to want the thing that they need.
And he wanted his dad, but what he really needed, he's had the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? When my mom passed away, I've been fairly close with my siblings growing up. There was a lot of fighting and sibling. There were 5 of us.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's a lot of kids in a
There's
house.
a lot of kids in a house. But when she died, so from that moment on, we've been closer than we've ever been, because we had to fill that hole for each other. Like you said, my mom was very nurturing, very affectionate, very supportive. She's a wonderful mother, left a huge hole for all of us. And the only choice we had was to let that hole stand gaping, or to step in and fill it in for each other. And so I watched this, and it's very, very personal for me, because I just love how his brother, without even really being asked to, and without even really thinking about it, he stepped into the father role, you know, and how beautiful that is. And we can do that. And it's not just in our families. We can do that for anyone who's grieving. You know, when we ask ourselves, well, somebody just lost somebody, and saying I'm sorry for your loss sounds so hollow, or it feels so hollow. And a lot of times we keep our distance because we're intimidated by the loss, and we don't know what we could possibly do to make it better. The fact is, you don't have to make it better. That's the thing about grief. It has to be felt and experienced, and your role is not to make it better. Your role is to step in and say, I can't replace the person you lost, but I can make sure you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right? And that to me is like the whole message of Onward, is getting through our grief, we discover we can still feel joy again. We can still feel love again. We can still feel connection again.
Okay, best way to the park is to take a little something called the Road of Ruin.
Nah, that's too obvious.
Wait, what?
On a quest, a clear path is never the right one.
And sometimes when you're missing somebody that you've lost, it feels like you never will. It feels like you'll never find those things again. Mm-hmm. And or that if you did, you would somehow be dishonoring the memory of this person who meant so much.
Right.
And the fact is, like, we have room in our hearts to love a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. And we can still treasure the people who are gone while creating something new or embracing what we still have. So there's Mom with her new boyfriend. I love that it's not about her wanting to go see her husband again. You know, like, this is for her boys. Like, she loves him, but she's
had time to move on, and
yeah.
You know, she's an adult. She can do that. This is a super controversial thing, apparently. A lot of people didn't like that he never got to meet his dad.
Yeah.
And I think it's thematically, this is the best thing that could have happened in the film.
Yeah. Well, it really cements the point that it's his brother.
Yeah.
Who's been his father. And at this moment is about his brother getting to rectify that regret of, I wasn't there when my dad was dying, to send him off. Well, candidly, I think American cinema has trained us to want the perfect happy ending.
Yeah.
Where everything is as we want it to be. And then we kind of get upset if we don't get that. But this is more, even though this is so fantastical, so many fantastical elements, Pixar's emotional heart is always grounded in reality, even if the narratives are based in fantasy. And real life is not as clean as that when it comes to happy endings.
No. Well, there's no such thing as a happy ending, right? You can have a happy middle.
I mean, I don't know. I think you can die happy for sure.
Well, you can die happy, yeah, but you only get one of them.
Yeah, it's true.
Said he always thought his wizard name would be Wilden the Whimsical.
Wow, that's really terrible.
I know. He also said he's very proud of the person you grew up to be.
Well, I owe an awful lot of that to you.
He kinda said that too. Oh, and he told me to give you this.
So,
gosh dang it, Pixar.
people need love. You know, like that's a basic human need, and we often get into this mind trap of we need it from certain individuals.
Right.
Right? Like, I need it from a parent, or I need it from this person or that person. But the fact is, like, he gets it from his brother, and it's healing because it's love. Whether it's from a romantic relationship that didn't pan out, or a parental relationship that didn't play out the way you wanted, or a friendship or a sibling relationship, we often struggle to move onward because we want that so bad, that specific one.
What's that?
I'm just working on a list of things I wanted to do with Dad. You know, play catch, take a walk, driving lesson, share my whole life story with him.
But you were talking about how healing it is for you to create these experiences with your sons. These experiences that maybe you didn't have or didn't have as much as you want to have. And a popular phrase right now is love, right? And, you know, there's lots of interpretations of that phrase, but we need love.
Yeah.
And the most beautiful thing about us is that we can choose to give it anytime.
There's a mighty warrior inside of you. You just have to let him out.
Anytime you see somebody who needs it. And it's not that hard. All you do is
It's really not.
you show an interest in their life and what interests them, and you show them empathy. And it's so, so powerful to be able to create kind of a surrogate family for people when they need it.
I have very little to add to that. I am an overflowing well of emotions.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
If you'd like to rent or buy Onward, you can also do so by clicking the link below.
I would love to tell you to share this video with your friends. Use the share button or post it on your social medias, because we really would like to grow so that we can reach more people and help more people, and also so that we can keep the lights on and have more food than just popcorn, which is delicious.
It's really good popcorn.
But there's not a lot of protein.
No, there's not.
It's fine. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. You've been watching Cinema Therapy.
So until next time,
Write a bucket list.
reach out to someone who's hurting and watch movies.